about, and I've read some articles about your experience having an eating disorder. So what did that stem from? How did you manage to get that under control? What was that like?
That stemmed from my mom, another surprise, mommy, she's back. When I was 11, I played a lot of roles on TV that were like for younger, like I played 7 or 8 because I was very small. And one day I felt like a lump in my breast and I was very scared. I thought like, oh my God, my mom had cancer. Now I have cancer. I'm only 11. How can I have cancer? And I go to my mom, I'm like terrified. And she goes, oh no, you don't have cancer. You're just developing breasts. And the only thing that would have been worse for me at that time than like hearing that I had cancer was hearing that I was going to have breasts, because growing up meant that I would not be able to pay my family's bills. My mom was always very vocal about like, it's good when you play younger roles. Who knows what your career will be like once you can't play these younger roles. Like we need to get you on a hot streak while you're prepubescent, that kind of talk.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I said, okay, well, what can I do to not have boobs? And my mom said, well, there's this thing called calorie restriction, which is anorexia. And we it really felt to me like we were in a buddy comedy, like doing the hand jives and then like eating 400 calories a day. Like it felt like the happy montage in a movie, only it was this very sick and disturbing situation that I wasn't aware of because I was a child. I wasn't aware that my mom was teaching me anorexia. You know, she gave me stacks of diet books. She weighed me. She measured my thighs with a measuring tape to make sure that they weren't bigger than previous weeks, like very intense stuff. And I just thought this was normal. And when she would tell me not to tell my friends, I thought it's because we have such a special relationship. It's not because she's doing anything bad. It's because like, yeah, other girls wouldn't get it because their relations with their moms are just like weak. We're golden. So that was where that started. And then I've been through all the eating disorders. So anorexia for me was 11 to 15. And then my eating kind of like normalized. I don't really have a reason for why. I was on a show at that time, so maybe it was just like knowing that I had kind of reached the goal. There was no longer a career goal in my mind. And then by 16, I got my period. I was very late to get my period, and then I went back to anorexia because I was so terrified of growing up again. And then by 18, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, I had binge eating disorder. By 21, the year that she died, I had anorexia and then bulimia for 3 years, and that is the end of that. Like that was the end of my my eating disorder history.
That sounds unpleasant.
In a word, yeah, totally.
Okay, so how are you doing now? And did you get it under control? And how did you manage that?
It's another thing that I attribute to DBT, that type of therapy that I mentioned earlier. I really think that specific type of therapy changed my life.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think CBT is definitely talked about, cognitive behavioral, and it's like talk therapy is amazing. And I think really like for me now, that's the game but DBT was really needed for like the extent of the issues that I had. I just don't think they could have been resolved by anything less. I needed to be a part of the program. Is you also have coach calls, which is where you're able to call your therapist any hour of the day or night when you're dealing with your issues most. For something like bulimia, when that's a behavior that you need to really be on top of. Like the amount of time that I was calling my therapist to be like, I want to throw up. It's crazy. It's impossible to achieve that level of like contact with the therapist in any other type of therapy.
Interesting. I've had a bit of experience with therapy. Well, actually, that's not true. I've had extensive experience with therapy.
Which kinds?
I don't there was never a name. I would say it was probably cognitive behavioral therapy, but a lot of it was just talking, and it was a disaster every single time.
What do you mean?
Oh my God. So my first experience was with this poor woman. I was really sick as a kid. So I went to see, her name was Dr.